Something went wrong in Russia again. On one of the propaganda shows, the so-called expert could not stand his lies and just fainted on live air. Just watch this.
We need a doctor right now.
But if we use the Kremlin vocabulary, he did not faint but got up negatively or even boldly eliminated the floor. This is the fake check where we make Russian propaganda unconscious alongside our experts and partners from the StopFake. And my co-host today is Oleksandr Zamkovoi, the fact checker from StopFake. Hello and welcome to Spotlight Ukraine.
Hello. Hi.
Nice to see you, and thank you for finding some time to discuss and doing some Russian fakes. So we've selected the latest fakes produced by the Russian propaganda machine this week, and we'll start the first one. So Russian media reports that the UN confirmed alleged war crimes, that's the quote, war crimes of the Kiev regime in Ukraine. And Kremlin propagandists claimed to cite that UN Independent International Commission of Inquiry on Ukraine report. What is true and what is fake in this story? Let's see right now.
The UN Commission has published a report that admits the commission of many war crimes committed by militants of the Kiev regime during the armed conflict in Ukraine.
This news was, among others, posted by Russian media Military Review. The authors are allegedly quoting the report on war crimes. The UN Commission did publish the document on March the 16th. However, the main conclusion of it is that
Russian authorities have committed a wide range of violations of international human rights law and international humanitarian law in various regions of Ukraine, many of which amount to war crimes.
in particular, the UN has counted that Russian attacks on energy infrastructure have damaged or destroyed thousands of residential buildings and were recognized as war crime.
These include widely reported instances such as the March 16, 2022 attack carried out during the siege of Mariupol on the city's drama theater that killed and injured a large number of people, the April 8, 2022 attack on a Kramatorsk train station where 59 people were killed and 92 were injured, and the June 27, 2022 attack on a shopping mall in Kremenchuk that killed 21 and injured dozens.
As for Ukraine, the Commission has found instances where Ukrainian armed forces likely used cluster munitions in Izum city, Kharkiv Oblast, from March to September, when Russian armed forces controlled it.
The Commission also documented a small number of violations committed by Ukrainian armed forces, including likely indiscriminate attacks on 2 incidents qualifying as war crimes, where Russian prisoners of war were shot, wounded or tortured.
Based on the results of the first report, the UN Commission recommended that the Russian Federation immediately stop aggression and all acts of violence committed against civilians.
So, Oleksandr, could you clear it up for me? So why does the Russian audience just believe those fakes rather than just checking the real UN report instead?
Well, I think psychologically they are more convenient in believing on their official sources and follow the Russian propaganda because, like, you know, during the year of this war, there were so many Russian war crimes that the ordinary citizen of Russia, if he or she would check any alternative sources, probably they would understand that their government just lied to them. And if you live in Russia and you don't want to intertwine with understanding what is wrong and what is not, it's better to just follow, you know, to go with the stream and to follow the Russian sources. It's very hard to understand how in this era of digital information we can really see how the whole society can only rely on governmental on the sources of the of their government, and which are propaganda, which are clear propaganda. But this is what we have. Of course, part of Russian citizens, they know the truth, but they are just silent. But in majority of cases, they just stick to what is convenient to their minds, and that's it. I think that only the defeat of Russian Federation in Ukraine would probably clear their mind.
Yeah, just for the mental health, instead of just opening your eyes to the truth, it's more convenient and more calming just to accept what is proposed by the Russian propaganda. Okay, I would believe this.
Yeah, and if we talk about this report of the UN Commission, we clearly see that the Russian sources, they don't really provide their population with the real information. So they just mislead their population and they manipulate the facts. So they only gave Russian population the information about the Ukrainian war crimes which were cited in this report, but they are they can't be even we can't really compare them to what Russia did to Ukraine, because they are mainly corresponded to the war crimes which were made on the Russian prison soldiers and those who were on the battlefield and were not kept properly or transported by Ukrainians properly to other places.
So they just spotlighted this information and just canceling the other war crimes committed by the Russians.
Exactly, and they avoid citing the Mariupol war crimes and what they did in Kramatorsk, Kremenchuk, and in other cities of Ukraine. And a very interesting fact that actually in this report we see clearly the fact of the deportation of Ukrainian children to Russia, and UN Commission condemned this fact. But of course, Russia didn't pay attention to this, and only in 2 or 3 days when we had the resolution of the International Criminal Court against Vladimir Putin, Russians started to debunk this so-called fake, as they say, because they claim they never did that. But it was already cited even before, and nobody really paid attention to them on their side.
You've already started to discuss the second case produced by StopFake this week. So we're talking about the Russian social media users and so-called opinion leaders that say that the International Criminal Court justified the Russian army. So apparently this conclusion was drawn after the ICC just issued a war crimes arrest warrant to President of Russian Federation for the deportation of Ukrainian children. But how exactly, we will tell you now. Watch this video.
The Russian army was acquitted in The Hague. There was nothing to accuse Putin of except deporting children.
This was posted in few Russian media. The conclusion that the Russian army was allegedly acquitted came from the court's decision concerning the suspicion of Putin committing only one war crime, the illegal deportation of children. Thus, according to Russians, the forced deportation of children is the only thing Russia has been accused of. According to Dmytro Koval, PhD in law, an expert of the human rights organization Truth Hounds, whom StopFake turned to for clarification, the issued warrant does not mean that the court did not see the crimes of the Russian army in Ukraine.
The International Criminal Court is not the kind of court that would deal with dozens of cases in one particular country. It must choose a few of the highest priority and move on them, Koval says.
According to Koval, the International Criminal Court may open other cases related to Ukraine in the future, but certain circumstances are needed for this.
Here are two questions. First of them, why is there any lack of reaction to the arrest warrant to Putin inside Russia? And why Russians attempt to justify the Russian army?
Well, first of all, again, they manipulated the resolution of this International Criminal Court, saying that actually, you see, only the deportation of the children is the only war crime that we did, telling to their population and to their citizens that actually we were saving those children. We were not deporting them. We were saving them because they were abandoned, which is not, of course, true, because a lot of parents were just killed in Mariupol, and children were left alone,
orphans,
and they didn't have any other choice. That's one reason. Another is that, of course, they were mocking these international court resolutions, saying that actually we are not a part of we haven't recognized. Well, they did recognize international court resolutions, but starting from 2016, they just rejected any resolutions and saying that we won't support that institution anymore. So now they say that it's illegal because we don't support that. But actually, in more than 100 countries of the world, it's recognized, and Putin will have a lot of problems if he ever tries to step on the land of these countries. And I think that this will make a lot of problems for Russian propaganda.
Yeah, it's like pandemic, but for one person. Pandemic issues, but for Putin.
Yeah.
And just traveling.
Now they see that the coalition, pro-Russian coalition, is not so obvious because those countries who are the part of this memorandum of recognition on Constitutional Criminal Court, they will probably make the justice and imprison Putin. So traveling to those countries is not a great step for the president of Russia anymore. But the Russian politicians, they were commenting on these on this resolution, and we also saw the reaction on the Russian TV shows. But they were again saying that you see that if this was the only one reason why they moved against Putin with this resolution, probably there is nothing to blame the Russian army at all on the act that
yeah,
they did.
let's just say that was a small step for Hague, but the big leap for the whole humanity. And let's talk about Poland. So Poland's action only, that's the quote, contribute to the destruction of the armed forces of Ukraine. This last but not the least Russian fake we will discuss today alongside Oleksandr Zamkovoi, the fact-checker of StopFake. So why has Poland again became a target for the Kremlin's manipulation? Next in Spotlight Ukraine.
The fighter jets supplied to Ukraine by NATO countries, including Poland, will not affect the outcome of the conflict, but will lead to inevitable losses among Ukrainian pilots, retired U.S. Marine Corps intelligence officer Scott Ritter said.
By quoting Ritter, Russian media claim that they disclosed Poland's plan to destroy Ukrainian soldiers.
American intelligence officer revealed Poland's plan to destroy Ukrainian soldiers.
There is no Polish plan to destroy Ukrainian soldiers. On the contrary, Poland is one of the Ukraine's leading partners in providing military aid and training Ukrainian soldiers. Poland was one of the first to announce its readiness to provide Ukraine with German Leopard 2 tanks, which are in its service, and MiG-29 fighter jets. Apart from that, Poland announced its intention to carry out monthly military training of 2 battalions of the armed forces of Ukraine.
Scott Ritter is indeed a former U.S. intelligence officer who served in the 1980s. Later, from 1991 to 1998, Ritter worked as a UN weapons inspector in Iraq, but then the former scout was accused of pedophilia. He was caught twice trying to arrange dates with underage girls he met online.
After Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Ritter accused Ukraine of the murders in Bucha, declared Biden a war criminal, and claimed that Poland intended to attack Ukraine and occupy its western regions.
So, Scott Ritter, who is this guy?
Well, he is a very interesting character, we can say, because, you cited it right. He was a member of the U.S. intelligence in the 1980s, but then in 90s he became the instructor in Iraq for the weaponry and other military staff trainings, and then because of his crime, he was actually imprisoned, and then afterwards, of course, he couldn't no longer serve in the U.S. military. So we started following him since 2019 when he joined Russia Today propagandist international department, let's say, because they plenty of characters like him, and he was a military expert on different topics, let's say. But of course, Ukraine was the main one, and he all the time he was blaming U.S. for confronting Russia and Ukraine, etc. But since the 24th of February, he just started saying that actually Russia did nothing wrong with Ukraine, and Ukraine is full of Nazis, and Ukraine will fall in 1 week. Mariupol will fall in 3 days, and then the Bucha, he was saying that all that was a staged video, and everything that happened, and all these dead bodies on the streets. So he is one of the many Western propagandists who work for Kremlin, but unfortunately, he is sometimes he's kind of vocal because he uses different sources, especially on YouTube, and people who believe in conspiracy theories and like to blame U.S. About everything.
The leading role in the whole history. Yeah.
They follow the guys like him, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
we can only debunk his fakes, but show how ridiculous they are, because none of his forecasts really was true, and none of them really became the reality.
Yeah, and once again, we're talking all the time about the manipulations, and I know that the manipulation is the middle name of Solovyov. So his full name is Vladimir Manipulation Solovyov. With this joke, we end the fact check today. Thank you so much, Oleksandr Zamkovoi, the fact checker from StopFake organization, our partners, was the guest of Spotlight Ukraine. See you next week. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Latest news, trends, and analytics on all about Ukraine. Like, share, and subscribe. Any questions, proposals, and comments, contact us via email.